speaking of exerting dominance, we're going to move into the Overwatch League, the North America Championship Series just Swiss stages started this past weekend, and there was some domination for sure. Let me open that up and run us through. All right, here we are. So it happened this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The main teams, Toronto Defiant, LFO, Timeless. We've had some name changes. We have some roster apocalypse happening. That was last week. But here we go. We had some associations and organizations grouping up. But nuts and bolts, what we get down to, looking at who won. Toronto Defiant, which was an expected favorite, came out strong in the 2-0 in their group. And Final Gambit getting bumped out. Luminosity Gaming, also a strong strong team in their group with the 2-0. Really pretty straightforward, pretty easy for those teams. It seemed like they went 6-0 in maps, so they didn't even drop a single round, let alone the entire game. Other teams to notice, Timeless was one that people weren't entirely sure about, but have a really great DPS duo that are finally getting their name recognized. They're finally getting attention. They did go 6-2 in maps, so they are +4, but that doesn't matter because they've got the 2-0. M80 was a team that saw a lot of roster apocalypse happen to them, but managed to come together with a whole new roster 40 minutes before the deadline. They had no time to come together. And so it's anything they do here has been miraculous. And so far, so good. 1-1. They'll be playing more this coming weekend. Students of the Game are a team. What team is that again? No current page. They're another team that not totally sure, but did end up with their 2-0, leading their bracket. This doesn't really seem like a group that's too strong in general. So it'll be exciting to watch, but nobody's really expecting much out of this. But that's also where all these dark horses can ultimately come from. A bunch of 3-0 matches. It was really cool. Good Overwatch. Cool to see players' perspectives and see Overwatch come back into a full hype moment in this new way. It's the first taste back into North America Overwatch esports. Nick, did you get a chance to watch any of this, or as a not really a deviant Overwatch player like some of us are?
I'm not a degenerate, no, when it comes to Overwatch, but I can tell you right now, I know Tracer's a problem. Like from watching games and playing for like the last week just to like try to get a feel for it again. Tracer is an issue. I did my placements. I'm gold 2. I'm so good at this game. I'm painfully average. But I haven't played in 2 years. And I went straight into comp as a healer, went straight into comp, and I came out gold 2. Tracer is an issue.
In this patch too? I'm sorry, dude. That's masochistic or sadist, whatever one. Sounds like you hate yourself.
Yeah, a little bit, It's okay. But it was fun. But Tracer, it did seem like Tracer had a little bit too much of the share. Yeah.
Tracer definitely got a lot more juice from the squeeze on this one. We're actually going to kind of go into that a little bit. The comps that we mostly saw in this past weekend were Sigma Doom comps. Sometimes we saw some Junker Queen. Sometimes we saw some Diva. Those were more situation map dependent, but it was more so Ram Sigma that came out on top. Mostly probably because of that Tracer dive being really strong. They can hunker down, protect themselves while the rest of the team can deal with that Tracer, focus on that Tracer. Just a real quick graphic. This was ultimately the brackets, what we just saw, but a little prettier. For this past weekend, we'll have the next group of games happening this coming weekend. Same situation, Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be EMEA and North America. And we'll get to see the rest of the teams fight for the last spots. Only the top 4 will move into the tournament and then fight for a chance to get to DreamHack to represent North America and play against Europe and Korea and the rest of the Eurasian regions. But it's nice to see this happening. It's nice to see player perspectives. It's nice to see the emotion and drive coming to the game. So of course we have teams like Toronto who are going to dominate, and like you kind of expect them to. But like it's nice to see the dom teams, the submissive teams, come back and have a chance in Dark Horse and like really go in, because like you're saying with the LCS playoffs, once you get a shot in, that's all you need. But then you got to show up. You got to show up and you got to play.
We'll see how many of these players end up carrying their teams. Like some of the like that's the cool thing too about these tournaments, when you have like no name for yourself and you're able to play against like all of these really good players. You could literally have some random person who's just the most top-notch Genji there is come out and just get picked up from another team, right? Just to absolutely get scouted and ripped off of his team.
Right. Especially when you have a specialist that plays into the meta right now. And like you said, the meta is very tracer heavy. We have the main story talking about the meta over in Japan, but we'll go into it in just a second. But like most teams everywhere are playing like a Divey tracer Echo sort of comp. Echo is just air tracer anyway. So to see like a specialist or a player who can come in and make a name for themselves is huge, especially after this round of games. Next month, when there's another round of games, another group stage, these points are player based. So it'll be kind of cool to see if one of the losing teams drops their players and they get sold off to another team and the points go with them. Those 6 points from the first round.
Do they?
So they do. And that
wait, hold on, dude. Did you just tell me that after 3 weeks, some team can just start buying points by buying players on other teams, like just disbanding teams and picking up? You're out of your mind. They let consolidation happen, and I could just do math in order to win this.
It's not a perfect system. It's not a perfect system, but it's one to keep teams from just owning the points and then dropping the players. Like, so, okay, let's say towards the end, you get a super team. You get a super team by winning. You top 4 make it, or let's say the top 2 make it. 3 and 4 teams, they're going to disband or they're going to try again the next round. They could sell their players to other teams and just make a super team that way with those points. So like, and it'll be the centerpiece is with the teams. And like, that's a way to screw over the players. At least with this way, the players have more agency, more power in the system. And so it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, but
interesting. There's going to be 5 people, man, that go in here just to play in tournaments, just to sell their slots and make a living off of it. Like, this sounds like boosting to me.
There might even be.
Sounds like boosting, bro.
There might be organizations that do that, man. They like, and like, it'll be interesting to see in this first iteration of this. And then what I want to see, I expect to see, what I'm looking forward to, but I don't think it's going to be great, is that there's going to be certain players, certain coaches that are going to try to math so that they can like have this conjecture. In a little asterisk here, though, I got to say the second round, the next round to go to DreamHack, the group stages, they're going to be worth more points. And like, that's something that traditionally happened in Overwatch League, where the later rounds were worth more points, like as you got closer to grand finals and like season playoffs. But that seems to be the case here as well. Like next group stages, people who qualify, who get in, they're going to be getting more points than these. So it's still pretty not, I don't say dire, but still, you know, you got to fight. You got to have a dog in this race. You got to put it out. But like, yeah, there could be some shenanigans for sure.
Yeah, wait until playoffs start to hit and like one team is, you know, X amount of points, but has a nice big wallet. Like they're X amount of points away from like being in the playoffs versus not being in the playoffs. And then they open up that purse, spare some change, and just end up getting into the playoffs. Like,
but that's where the conflict might come. Sorry to cut you off, but that's where the conflict might come, because just because they have the purse doesn't mean it's feasible to compete. Like they'll compete, but they might be competing at a loss. And if it's something like the Saudi Esport League where they're just throwing money because they want the competition, they don't care about the prizes really, or the prizes aren't living up to what, player salaries need to be. Players are living on couches at this point. And it's a real knockback to reality after Overwatch League, but it's kind of a new one because Overwatch league was a bit of overinflated. So yes, you can have somebody come in with a big purse and just buy a team, but then what's their return on investment? What are they seeing? And what's great for the long-term investment of that? And then we could see, because those teams come in and buy out and they just win, that there needs to be more prize pool support, basically. And that kind of goes hand in hand. There's a lot of different ways it could go, and it's a big conversation, especially with this current meta, how you're saying like a specialist could come in.